Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Let's get to the news now, Browns fans. This news is as surprising as it is concerning. Just as training camp in Berea, Ohio, was kicking off and everyone was gearing up for what promises to be an exciting season, the Cleveland Browns made a move that sent shockwaves through the fanbase and the league as a whole. The Browns, who have been building quite a reputation over the past few seasons, especially with their push towards returning to the playoffs and aiming for that elusive Super Bowl title, have just placed their franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson, on the physically unable to perform list, or PUP for short. And let me tell you, this isn't just a minor setback. This is a huge storyline that could reshape the Browns' entire season and future trajectory. When we talk about Deshaun Watson, we're talking about a player with a lot of expectations. Since joining Cleveland, Watson has been seen as the cornerstone, the guy who would finally bring stability and championship aspirations back to this storied franchise. Acquired from the Houston Texans in a blockbuster trade involving 6 draft picks, including multiple first-rounders, Watson was supposed to be the missing piece. He signed a guaranteed 5-year contract worth $230 million, making him the highest-paid player in Browns history and one of the most heavily scrutinized quarterbacks in recent NFL memory. Fans hoped that Watson's talent and leadership would elevate the Browns into serious contenders, especially with a roster that had been quietly but steadily improving, with key pieces on both sides of the ball. But, as many of you already know, things haven't gone exactly as planned. Over his first 2 seasons in Cleveland, Watson has faced a series of setbacks, primarily injuries. Last season, he suffered a torn Achilles, which limited his mobility and effectiveness on the field. Before that, he was battling through the injury of the previous season, which cast a shadow over his ability to stay healthy and consistent. The combination of injuries and some inconsistent performances has left fans and analysts questioning whether Watson can truly be the long-term franchise quarterback the Browns envisioned. Now, with the latest development, the Browns are officially going into the new season without Watson on the field initially. Placed on the PUP list, Watson will miss at least the first few weeks of training camp, and possibly more, depending on how his recovery progresses. This decision was made as a precaution, given that Watson is rehabbing from that Achilles injury, which is one of the most serious injuries a player can endure, especially for a quarterback who relies heavily on agility and mobility. The fact that Watson is only 29, soon to turn 30 in September, makes this situation even more critical. Browns fans, you know how much this team has invested in Watson, and it's natural to feel a mix of concern and frustration. In the meantime, the competition for the starting quarterback role is heating up. Joe Flacco, the veteran quarterback with a wealth of NFL experience, is now in the mix, trying to prove he still has what it takes to lead this team. Flacco's veteran presence is undeniable, and his calmness in the pocket could be an asset if Watson's recovery takes longer than expected. But it's not just Flacco fighting for the job. The Browns have also brought in Kenny Pickett, who is eager to make an impression, and rookies Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, both of whom are impressing coaching staff during camp. This quarterback competition is intense, and the Browns' coaching staff, led by Kevin Stefanski, is watching closely, knowing that whoever wins this battle will have a crucial role in shaping the team's fate this season. And speaking of Stefanski, he's been a staunch supporter of Watson, defending his ability and commitment as the franchise QB. But even he has had to admit that the circumstances are challenging. The Browns' general manager, Andrew Berry, has also expressed confidence in the team's depth at quarterback, emphasizing the importance of having capable alternatives ready to step in. They've made it clear that the team isn't solely dependent on Watson's health, but anyone who follows the Browns closely knows that Watson's presence on the field is vital for their Super Bowl aspirations. This situation also raises important questions about the long-term outlook. Watson, who is entering his prime, has faced a series of injuries that have limited his playtime and impact. His guaranteed contract, worth a staggering $230 million, reflects a high level of trust from the organization, but it also comes with immense pressure. Fans, you might remember that last offseason, there was a lot of debate about whether the Browns made the right move in giving such a hefty deal to Watson, especially considering the baggage he carried from his legal issues and the uncertainty about his performance. Now, with this injury setback, some are wondering if the Browns will need to reconsider their approach or make adjustments to their expectations. Looking ahead, the Browns are also dealing with another setback, as defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. has been placed on the PUP list as well. Hall was recovering from a knee injury sustained in the final game of the 2024 season against the Baltimore Ravens. His absence adds to the list of concerns for Cleveland's defense, which has been a stronghold in recent seasons, but now faces questions about depth and resilience. The Browns' defensive unit has been praised for its consistency, but with key players potentially missing time, the team will need to rely on its depth and coaching to maintain its competitive edge. This injury situation has everyone talking about the team's ability to adapt and overcome adversity. Cleveland has always been a franchise that prides itself on resilience, on fighting through tough times, and this season might be no different. The coaching staff, led by Stefanski, has a proven track record of developing players and adjusting game plans on the fly. But the challenge now is whether the Browns can stay afloat until Watson is fully healthy, and whether their other quarterbacks can step up and keep the offense functioning at a high level. On the strategic side, Browns fans should pay attention to how the team manages this quarterback competition and their injury recovery plans. The Browns have invested heavily in their roster, with a solid core of offensive weapons, a stout defense, and a coaching staff that's known for innovative game planning. But ultimately, the success of this season hinges on the health and performance of their quarterback room, especially Watson. If he can return to form later in the season, Cleveland could still be a major player in the AFC playoff picture. But if his recovery drags on, or if the other quarterbacks falter under pressure, the Browns might need to temper their Super Bowl dreams for this year and focus on building for the future. Another important aspect to consider is how this affects the team's chemistry and locker room morale. Players have always spoken highly of Watson's leadership qualities, and his presence on the field can energize the entire team. The coaching staff will need to ensure that the team remains motivated and focused during this period of uncertainty. The players' resilience will be tested, but Browns fans know that this franchise has a history of overcoming tough obstacles. And it's not just about individual talent, it's about how the entire team responds to setbacks like these. Of course, the fans are especially eager to see what this means for the upcoming season. With the Browns opening against the Cincinnati Bengals on September 7, everyone is wondering whether Watson will be available for that game, or if the team will have to rely on Flacco, Pickett, or the rookies to get the job done. The early part of the season could be a roller coaster, but it's also an opportunity for some of these young quarterbacks to prove they belong on a team with Super Bowl aspirations. The Browns have assembled a talented roster, and now they need stability at quarterback to truly reach their potential. And let's not forget, this situation also puts a spotlight on the team's leadership and how they handle adversity. Owner Jimmy Haslam's comments earlier in the year about recovering from the mistake of thinking we had a quarterback, and did, show that there's a level of accountability at the top. Now, with Watson on the PUP list, the entire organization will be tested. Will they rally behind their current quarterbacks? Will they keep faith in Watson's eventual return? And how will this impact the team's overall strategy in the short and long term? These are questions that fans and analysts alike are pondering, and the answers will shape the narrative of Cleveland's season. It's also worth mentioning that the Browns' window for success isn't limitless. With Watson's contract, especially the $7 million cap hit in 2026, the team is heavily invested in him for the foreseeable future. That kind of financial commitment puts pressure on Watson to return to his best form, but it also means the Browns need to be patient and strategic in their approach. The team's front office has always been smart about managing the cap, but injuries and performance issues can complicate that picture. So, Browns fans, this season might be one of patience and perseverance, but it's also a test of the team's resilience and leadership. In the broader context of the AFC North, this development could shift the balance of power. The division has been highly competitive in recent years, with teams like the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers all vying for supremacy. Cleveland's injury issues at quarterback could open the door for their rivals to gain an edge, especially if those teams are healthier and more consistent early on. But don't count out the Browns just yet. The talent on this roster is still significant, and if Watson can return at some point this season, the Browns could still challenge for a playoff spot, and maybe even more. The key will be how well they adapt and whether their other players can step up during this challenging period. In conclusion, Browns fans, this is a season that's shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable in recent memory. Injuries, competition, uncertainty, these are the themes that will define Cleveland's journey in 2024. But one thing is certain. This team has a resilient spirit, a passionate fan base, and a coaching staff that knows how to navigate stormy waters. So keep your hopes alive, stay supportive, and remember that sometimes, the greatest comebacks come from the toughest challenges. The Browns have always been about fighting through adversity, and this season might just test that spirit more than ever. But if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that Browns fans are some of the most dedicated and optimistic in the league. And together, we're going to see how this story unfolds. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending the latest Cleveland Browns news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this news? Do you think Watson will be able to recover in time and lead this team to the playoffs? Or are you already looking at the other quarterbacks and wondering if they can step up and carry the load? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Browns organization. Remember, I'll be back very soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news, and let's keep supporting this team no matter what. The journey is long, but Browns fans, you know that resilience is in our DNA. Let's keep the faith, and I'll see you in the next video.